Welcome, welcome. Jim, don't hide. Welcome. I think first of all, I would like to just say thank you so much for making the trek and the journey and gracing us with your presence. So happy, feel so amazing to be in this abundant atmosphere that is so alive and beautiful, so much beauty, and the mountain, the river, the flowers, all of us, the fire, the food. I mean, it goes on and on. Like where? Just everywhere you turn, it's like, oh my God. And Sharon and I feel the same way about seeing all of you.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's really beautiful. Thank you so much. On the first night of retreat, it's such a potent time. I mean, we all just ate a huge meal and we're tired and we're sitting in front of the fire and there's this nice, relaxed, probably getting close to sleep atmosphere. And in Costa Rica, everyone goes to bed early because the sun goes down so early. But, there's this potency of, I'm sure all of you started feeling it, even maybe like a week or so ago, right? The retreat started. It started kind of filtering in if we were, aware of it and conscious of it, like, wow. And it really started settling. And then after the meditation this afternoon, I felt like, okay, yeah, the retreat itself sort of takes its seat and really begins to come forward in consciousness. It's really palpable and beautiful and potent. And so if we can, that first night, it's such a magical, really, moment to be able to meet that, settle into it and become more aware of it, and really begin to, although in this retreat we will be talking some, it's still a chance to let go of the tasks of ordinary days, the roles that we all play all the time, the belief systems that we very subtly hang on to just to keep our sense of self. All of it. All of this, it's such an amazing, precious, poignant, and palpably just potent time to come together and let that go. All of the ascribed meanings, the narratives, the way we see things generally. I'm not saying they're good or bad or anything else, but in the opportunity and the invitation to let all of that go for this moment, there is a beyond that can be lived, experienced directly. And it's not far, it's not distance, it's closer than close. You can't even call it close because it is. And so to come together in that recognition is just an amazing, not only an amazing gift for oneself, but an amazing gift for the group and the world. It can seem like a small thing, like that's one of those ideas and beliefs that we might want to consider just putting, hey, I'll get back to you, maybe. I don't know if that's true or not, but whatever we have in mind, that is what we should, the woulda, shoulda, coulda part of the narrative, let that be. Just let it be for a little bit, with no expectation, no agenda, other than, what does Rumi say? change the room in your mind for a day.
Mm-hmm.
Make a new watermark on your excitement and your joy. We can have some very strong preferences, opinions, beliefs, even after deep awakening. It's never, ever the moment to say, oh, I'm past all of that. We're walking around in bodies and minds, and we have deeply rooted conceptions about the world, about ourselves, about each other, about all the us's and them's. So we can invite ourselves and each other to look beyond that. We don't know what we might see. Maybe we will find, no, I don't want to let go of that. But we might have some insight into why that's so hard to let go of. Because if you start making space, a lot of stuff comes in that hasn't been churned around for a while. Starts percolating up. Here I am, here I am, here I am, and you can have the space, the generosity, the kindness, the capacity, the courage to meet it here. To meet it. Maybe don't be so sure about everything. And that first night is, you can feel it. You can feel it. Something fresh and new wants to make itself apparent, directly experienceable, even though it's always here, never not here. It's like the quality, the essence of who we are. But it's definitely not what we always pay attention to and attend to and recognize and sit down in and as. In this world, in this day and time, the story is living large. And even in deep recognition, one can get really pulled out of that survival and fear-based approach to living. So what else is here? What's never coming and going? What's always here? What is here? What is here? What is here? Sharon and I were talking, and we never know what we're going to say, and we both know that, but there's this sense of inviting and kind of wanting to give a sense of refuge, sanctuary, home. We have the illusion of leaving home, walking around, doing our life. I'm 20, I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 50, whatever. And that's the illusion of the human experience. But home is here now, always. And one can walk through one's experiences from and as that place. And in that, it's not necessarily that everything just poof becomes like a blissful whatever, but it is a different experience. It's a different experience because it's out beyond right doing and wrong doing. It's out beyond good and evil. It's out beyond us and them. It's beyond that. So it's a very different experience. one finds themselves able, and it's even less than that, the words really can't get it, but there's a capacity to abide as the unchanging ground and the nature of love through all circumstances. So take a little time tonight before we just fall into our food coma to meet that. Find it. Find it. You know, it's not out here somewhere. I mean, it is, because it's all a reflection. But within the body, within the community of inner voices, there's the chatter, 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 the narration, all the radio stations are available. But where is that palpable sense of, I am here. Here I am. You are mine. I am yours. That reunion, that coming home, that being home. It's not far. We're just maybe more or less practiced at attending to that which is never coming and going. The attention is generally wanting to attend to something that's moving around. Do you guys remember when Audrey would do that? And then he would stop. I'm going to read one thing and then see if our lovely Sharon wants to say something. This is from the Radiance Sutras. It's the Bhairava, I'm probably saying it very incorrectly, Tantra. It's a very ancient, one of the most ancient yoga scriptures. And it's a translation by Lauren Roche that is so delicious. So delicious. And just about that, whatever we want to call it, the soul, the spirit, what do we want to call it in this retreat? I call it love. That is not love that's transactional, but love that is. The heart, that calling. I mean, you're all here, so you've been called. That calling. The beloved and the beloved. That reunion, Shiva Shakti, if you want to think of it that way. That recognition, when one recognizes who one actually is, beyond that delusion and spell of separate, 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 division, 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 separate, division, separate, division, beyond that. The heart of the universe pulses in all hearts. There is one who is the life in all forms. There is one who is joyful in simply existing in all bodies, as all bodies. Explore the life that is the life of your present form. One day you will discover it is not different from the life of the secret one. And your heart will sing triumphant songs of being at home everywhere. In all situations, at home everywhere. The heart of the universe informs all hearts. I do want to say and invite you as well to, I did bring rose oil. The roses grow in the garden in Cove, Oregon, and they are a blessing in my life and Timo's life, and they've radiated outward.
They do.
I infuse the avocado oil with the roses at solstice, summer solstice time. It's a joyful thing. It's a joyful experience, and it's a joyful thing to be a part of. And so we found out at fall retreat, you may ingest it. Michael can tell you all about it if you want. It's just avocado oil and rose petals, that's all it is. Or you can put it on your heart, wherever you're moved. You might just want to smell it, the bottoms of your feet. You know, the roses here are this, it's what unfolded here. It unfolded. And it is the recognition of the uncaused love that doesn't have any cause. It just is. It just is. And it took a visual form in that of the rose, which is not uncommon. I think that's like, you know, I didn't know it at the time, but the Divine Mother and all of that, it all started dawning. So if that moves you, if that's something you want to partake of, there's rose oil, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. It's such a generous gift. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And I also want to it's such a deep honor to teach with you. I love you so much. You and I get right down to business, and I forgot to tell you that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Back to you thousandfold. It's a privilege. Yeah, we connected in an Ajah retreat in just this beautiful, wonderful way. And then we started to talk some over the phone. And so it was actually in Costa Rica. It was the first year that I came and taught at Blue Spirit. And we were in the swimming pool at their condo. And of course, we were talking consciousness, you know, and so. And I could tell just where she was coming from and what was coming forth and how she was speaking, that the recognition went all the way to the fundamental ground, expressing through the heart. And we just made this connection. And then that's when I asked her to teach. And she already had been teaching for, 10 years. But there's something about stepping into the lineage, a deeply established lineage, you know, the Ajahshante lineage, and surpassed anything that I could have hoped for. Thank you.
Thank you.
We were just talking about how our sanghas have so intermingled now,
Yeah.
you know.
It's so beautiful.
We can't tell them apart anymore.
That's how sisters work.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the fall retreat in Cove, and they actually had a clear light altar. I was just really touched by that, and it was really lovely. And their garden is something else. It's really stunning. It's kind of a Fenhorn experience. I really feel this retreat is unique and will be quite different than any other retreat that we've sit together. And I've had that feeling since, you know, like, we were talking about how you can actually feel the retreat begin 4 or 5 days before, usually, sometimes even quicker. And sometimes your deep resistance and, you know, conditioning is more in the forefront. Other times it's just a deep sense of, here I am. And it just comes out of the blue. You know, you could be fixing tea or doing dishes or, you know, whatever you're doing. And you just have a sense of ease and at home and peace. So, there's no choosing that. Whatever is up is up. And that's the most perfect wisdom that can be for you in the moment. There's this, many of you know her, this exquisite woman. I think she was just here for the first retreat here. Not Jaima,
Jai
Joshri. And, she's a goddess. And she has a voice that comes out of a goddess. And she sang, "The way knows the way."
Mm-hmm.
And I think if there's two things, if we can really open collectively, as Jennifer was saying so beautifully, something collectively begins to take place. And you think you're here and you've got your agenda, and you may be resistant, or you may be, feeling kind of graspy, or, whatever it is, but it feels very personal. And what you start to really realize, and usually it takes about 12 hours, sometimes a little more, and you realize that it has nothing to do with your personal agenda. What you want, what you don't want, what you're afraid of, what you're grasping, all of that's going to come up. It's just like an arising and then a falling back, and an arising and a falling back. But what comes to the foreground, and it's the gift we all give one another by coming here at the same time. And yes, the persona is collaborating. It takes its energy to get the money together and go through the travel and make all the arrangements. And, it's a great sacrifice. And I never not have profound gratitude for the sacrifice that each and every one of you have made to get here and to be a part of this. But what really takes place is our divine nature, our deepest sense of who we are. That's what arises and comes forward. And if we just open up and let the thoughts come and go, they're just coming and going. It's like waves in the ocean. They just come, they break, and then they fall back again. That's all really these thought processes that we identify ourselves as. This is all that's happening. But if we begin to open to what is really going on, the truth of what's going on, is there's this field that gets stronger and stronger, and it begins to infuse and to inform and come from the background into the foreground. And that's the gift of coming together, and that's the gift that we give to each other. And if you allow that to inform, wake up, infuse, direct, unfold, liberate, and reveal, then the power of where two or more gathered I am actually comes and begins to direct the uniqueness of each and every retreat. And every retreat is totally unique. As a teacher or guide, whatever this is, I wait for that to happen. And you can feel it, it either happens maybe the night that we all meditate, and it's like, whoa, we are going to go for it now, right? You can just feel this palpable, can't you, Alex, this palpable silence, right? It's just, whoa. We can overwhelm it with thinking that there's a person that's running the show, and that there's a person or a me that's making it happen or not make it happen. Keep it, it's happening for everyone but me, whatever the mind is doing at that particular time. And then it's like taking the attention from the actuality of what's growing and expanding and increasing. Because when we come together, it's a huge increase of our shared nature. We can let that be the guide, the director, the transformer, everything, because that's what's happening anyway. You just take away the overlay that it's me or not me, right? And then things really accelerate. They just, and especially now, I have received so much connection with so many people just in this last, I'd say, 2 months than ever I remember in my 21 years of teaching, of people that are overwhelmed by the power of what's coming through the planet, or they've opened up. I've seen miracles, profound healings, resolutions. It's like it's moving outside of the accepted norms that we say is possible and not possible. The divisions of the different realms are dissolving. Or there's been perhaps a period of time that the nervous systems and the bodies are so overwhelmed that you sort of lose, I don't know, a sense of what's real and what isn't, and like it's like being impacted, and the body almost can, the nervous system almost just can't handle it. And I'm sure as healers and therapists, and I'm sure you're seeing that also in the people that you serve. I've never seen anything like it. That's the good news. The good news is the shadow, and that's the only thing that doesn't allow us to know and live who we are. It's like a shadow that has been gathered along the way in our karmic journeys. And we have come into this body, into this incarnation, for those to be revealed and then let go. That's why we're here, to resolve what's not been resolved, and to understand our nature. And the power that is gathering and pouring through the universe at this particular time. Maybe it's never happened before like this. And so we can be overwhelmed by just, the chaos and the insanity and the inhumanity and the unbelievable suffering everywhere we look. And it's not to negate that. It's not to move in some la-la realm where all of that is just, oh, that doesn't happen. But it's just like Jennifer said, it's like coming home into that is stable, constant, is not moved, and actually is not affected. Aja called it, I always forget what the name of it was. You remember? Platform. It's such an odd name, but it was so perfect because the platform is that is stable, informs, directs, and guides, and holds you. It nourishes you and holds you in the midst of hell. And I've heard so many people say, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, thou art with me.
Yes.
So many people are really hitting that deep, deep, deep valley of the shadow of death. And it's a beautiful thing. It doesn't feel like it at the time. But thou art with me. And what that's meant is that platform of stability and nourishing and depth and wisdom. And it's the womb that we spring from. It's where we arise and are formed into these human experiences and lives our life. We share that. Each and every one of us. We share that. So thou art with thee sometimes can be that little tiny light in a shadow that's so dark, so completely overwhelming. But yet, there's something about that deep platform, that deep ground, that deep stability, no matter what. And we're going to need that. You can sense it. We're going to need that. So, our intent, coming together like this, in a great sacrifice, in a great devotion, that has allowed us all to come together in this paradise, is to discover and to rest and to take our seat in that, no matter what. And if we can do that together, we have, 4 days. And if that's our intent, moment by moment, by moment, by moment, when we walk out of here, we will have established a root, a ground, a sense of home, and thou art with thee. And that's vital right now.
Yeah.
It's really vital. So all of the spiritual games we played before, all of the, we're going to get it, we're not going to get it, what about this, or what about that, and we've all played them for some of us many years. If we can just set that aside, let it come up, let it go down, and put the attention moment by moment, day by day, morning, noon, night, all through the night, and when we wake up, we will have something established that will allow us to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Thou art with thee. And it's in us. It's in this body, it's in these cells, it's in this life. And each and every one of us is led here by that. Not the me, even though the me's, collaborating in most cases. It's going along with it, it's supporting it, because it sees what that living life from that actually is. And there's nothing better. Take it from the great sufferer, one of the great sufferers of the world. I can't find that anymore. I can't find that suffering anymore. So to be free, and not only to be free, we were talking at dinner, yourself, from the conditioning, from the neglect, from what seemed to be horribly unfair and tremendously painful and many of us have lived in this incarnation a very difficult life, very painful and difficult life. And whether from the outside it looks like we have or not, most of us in our interior was suffering. And some of us, we can just say, well, one of the stories with one of Raj's retreats, and this woman who worked for Open Gate, and she'd gone to every retreat. And her mother was, I don't know whether I have the official diagnosis, but personality disorder. And so, she tried to commit suicide over and over, very, very difficult to live with, and, so after a retreat one time, we tried to top each other's stories of suffering and what we went through, And pretty soon we're just like, wow, I did this, and they drug my mother into, and then I was, And then we just started to laugh, and not that it's to be taken, I don't mean that, it's not to be taken lightly. But, we just spent, probably a half hour topping each other with the neglect and everything that we experienced as children. And there was something about speaking it and comparing it, and yet, what survives? What is untouched? What is okay? And not only finding that you're free of that, because it is in the past, it's horrible, and it isn't, you don't honor what you've gone through, and you don't touch it with your compassion and making it conscious. I don't mean that. It isn't like an airy-fairy, just ignore it all. Actually, it's the opposite. It's entering into it. And by entering into it, then it begins to be permeated by the light of your awareness. And it is over. And love takes over. And it dissolves it. And you're free of it. And I can tell you of my own experience. This is true here. There's a freedom of it. Not a making it better, not a manipulation, not getting people around me to make it all better. I can't find it anymore. But it wasn't because I spiritualized it. I couldn't. I was lousy at that. Some people are really good at that. I was just really lousy at it. So what I'm trying to say is we are made up of the same wisdom, the same beauty, the same power. We are made up of love, not in this Valentine's love, but our actual substance is love. I wish we could find a different word, but I haven't found one. Because love is like, I like you, I don't like you, you're this, you're that, you're acceptable or you aren't. But love is the Shakti. Do you get that? Love is the dynamic Shakti of the fundamental ground, not two. It's the creatrix, the activity. And we are made up of the root and the activity. That's who we are. And then we get to dance in this costume, mask, form, exactly as we are. So my encouragement is this very short period of time we have together, moment by moment. And that's what it takes. I am. What does it feel like? What's pouring through these eyes? What's beating this heart? What's making this body be able to move and to experience the coldness of the river and the warmth of the sun and the feeling on the bottom of her feet and the seeing of the great beauty? What is that? There's a beautiful, and maybe it will help you, it helps me a lot to remember, and it's a Zen pointer, and it's one step back. Do you get that? Not here. Here. One step back. Bring your attention in that watches, that experiences, that sees, that dances, that sees life exactly as it is, and live from that. At the end of 4 days, there will be no desire to come back and live out of the contents of your head and your thoughts. Why would you? Right? You hear me? So if we could just in our own way sort of make that, this is it. Many of us have been on the path for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. This is it. And we are doing it not only for this life, but for all beings, because that's what you find. By awakening to your nature, living from that, that is your contribution to this great awakening that seems to be happening along the planet. It's the greatest contribution you could make. And then whatever you individually can contribute is called forth. It's a time of activity, and you've noticed, right? Many of us would like to hang out on the mountaintop and meditate for years. This is the last thing I ever thought of, believe me. And yet it's the greatest joy that one can have, is to serve what one loves the most. Right? So just remember. It's a remembering. It's not a new thing. It's the living spirit that allows you to live this life. If this elimination were not active and constantly creating itself, we'd be a pile of dust. So how can you deny it? You're alive. You're living your life. You're experiencing life. And it loves its creation. It absolutely is delighted in its creation. Called you. Absolutely delighted. So thank you.
Thank you.
It seems like there's a person that brought you here, but let's discover what actually brought you here. And it's a shift. It's just a shift. I thought I was this, but the actuality has been this all along. And it's what you've always wanted. It's why you've incarnated. And there's nothing that I could have ever imagined that is more whole, more true, more beautiful, more in awe than living from your divine nature. It's unimaginable. So we're getting to do this together. And without you, it couldn't happen. So thank you. And to do the paradise. Hey.